Alright, so look, what we're seeing right now is not just political chaos or economic breakdown. It's deeper than that. What we're seeing is the collapse of a global system that was built on lies. A system built on control, ego, domination, and deception. That kind of system does not last forever, and right now it is falling apart. And this collapse has a new name, the universal narcissist collapse, because this system isn't just flawed, but it's fundamentally narcissistic. It operates like a narcissist on a global scale. It lies to survive. It manipulates reality to protect its own image. It fears the truth because truth threatens control, and it thrives on domination, not cooperation. And like any narcissistic personality, it eventually collapses under the weight of its own lies. Now, let's connect that to what's really at the root, the system of white supremacy. Dr. Frances Cress Welsing taught that white supremacy is not just a racial bias. She taught that it was more than a personal bias. She taught that it is a global system, a survival strategy built by people who feared their own extinction. They feared being genetically annihilated by melanin. So they created a system to maintain dominance by any means necessary. And Neely Fuller Jr. explained it simply. White supremacy is a total system. It controls everything. Economics, education, entertainment, labor, law, religion, sex, and war. This system was designed to make whiteness the standard. It rewrites history. It erases indigenous truth. It tells melanated people that they are inferior while feeding on our culture, our creativity, and our essence. That's not just racism. That is narcissism institutionalized. But here's the thing. A system like that cannot last forever because it's unnatural. It goes against the balance of nature. It goes against the laws of harmony, reciprocity, and truth. It extracts instead of replenishes. It separates instead of connects. It dominates instead of aligns. And any system that is unnatural is unsustainable. You can only suppress the truth for so long. You can only lie to the earth, to the people, to the spirit for so long. Eventually, truth rises and the lie begins to collapse. And that's what's happening now. We are in transition. The world is shifting spiritually, mentally, even cosmically. We're leaving behind the age of top-down control and moving into something different. This shift has a name too. It's called the Age of Aquarius. In astrology, the Age of Aquarius is about collective consciousness, truth and transparency, innovation and evolution, unity over hierarchy, and freedom from old systems. This new era does not support narcissistic power structures. It does not support white supremacy, exploitation, or control. It supports truth. It supports community. It supports systems that serve the people, not control them. So as we enter this new age, these old systems cannot survive. They are built on fear. They are built on lies. And the Age of Aquarius brings truth. So yes, this collapse is real, but it's also inevitable. And more than that, it's necessary. You cannot build a new world on top of a rotten foundation. Foundation has to break, so something true can be built. This collapse isn't the end of everything. It's the end of the illusion. It's the breakdown of a narcissistic world order so that a new order rooted in truth and balance can take its place. We are witnessing the fall of ego, the fall of white supremacy, fall of control systems that never had any real power, only fear. And as they fall, what rises is our ancestral memory, ancestral wisdom, ancient knowledge, collective power, truth, unfiltered, undeniable, and unstoppable. So don't be afraid of the collapse. Don't try to save the old world. It was never built to serve us. Let it fall, because the truth is rising. And with it, a new world, one that's actually worth living in.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. So today we're talking about something powerful, white supremacy, and how it is crumbling, right? Yeah, it's still around, but people are just now waking up to the facts, right? The system that once hid behind laws and power is being called out in real time, right? Folks are connecting the dots, schools, politics, media, they're all part of a bigger picture. But awareness changes everything, right? The more people see it, the less power it holds. But let's watch the clips. We'll be back with some commentary. Credit goes to all original creators. Quick disclaimer, this is just for commentary and educational purposes. Let's watch and we'll be back.
When you understand that the first humans to ever walk this planet were black, you can understand where white fragility, but also white supremacy comes from. Any oppression comes from a fear of not being good enough, a fear of competition. And when you understand that the blueprint is literally a black woman, a black man, you can understand why white people have felt the need to conquer people of color's land, because black people are closer to the DNA makeup of the original people to be here on earth than white people are.
Instead of getting rage baited, I think it's important for all of us to understand what's really going on in America. Please let me explain. So right now, what we are witnessing is the downfall of what America has always been. America is literally built on top of pain, misery, depression, lies. I could go on, you know? And it's also built on fake power structures, meaning a lot of slave owners and white people who are powerful way back in the day, 1700s, 1600s, 1800s. Back then, they set up this system to where even in 2025, they could still be at the top. Whole time, I'm pretty sure that their ancestors weren't thinking about the fact that things change. And that's the only constant in this world is change. So here we are, where people are finally starting to realize, like, you know what? Other people do deserve some of the things y'all have always been getting. And now they're claiming it's discrimination. People aren't hiring white people. White people are getting the bare minimum. White people are being pushed to the back. Whole time, white people were always in the back. It's just the fact that we were put behind y'all to make it seem like y'all were at the front. Does that make sense? Y'all have never been at the top of anything. But now, since the structure that we already have is set up in your favor, now you want to make America great again because it's unlike what has always been. Like, are y'all following? So now what do people do when they're at the top and they're in jeopardy of falling to the bottom? They do whatever they can to stay at the top, meaning if they have to make people of color fight, if they have to take away SNAP, if they have to cause martial law in our states, they don't care. They just want to stay at the top because that's where they've been. And anyone else that wants to be at the top, it's not going to happen because they want and own the top. So in order for us as the people at the bottom and the people that they see as the bottom to get back to the top, everything that's of now in America has to be dismantled. It has to be. Everything is falling. And that's fine, actually. We need to rebuild it. It's all based on BS. So yeah, it's just a battle of fragile male egos, white supremacy, systemic racism, and yeah, people wanting things to stay the same when things are inherently made to change. So it's only a matter of time before things actually do change and the collective consciousness actually catches up to the reality of where we are. Happy November.
You know what's crazy? The fact that white supremacy is so engulfing of white people, and they don't even realize it at the time, I don't think. White supremacy is so palpable between them that it has white women actively voting against their best interests, against their freedom, against their humanity, in hopes of impressing their husbands, in hopes of impressing their preachers and other male leaders in the community, in hopes of finally being seen as equal to white men. And what's even crazier is they do all of that and it never works in their favor. These white men will never see them as equal. Their womanhood will always keep them as subordinate to white men. And it's just, it's gotta suck to actively vote against the things that give you autonomy because you think that's what you have to do for little Timmy Turner to finally see you as a person. And he never will. Gotta suck.
The single greatest threat to America right now is white supremacy. And we need to stop acting like it's black people or brown people or immigrants. The average empire lasts 250 years, and let's fucking face it, America is an empire. It's a series of states and territories controlled under a single president or authority. Yes, we have checks and balances. Yes, we have our other system. But the point being, America is on the verge of collapse. And it's because it was built on a system that was never meant to sustain it. It was built on forced labor, kidnapping, violence to maintain the social order. If we want to improve what we have and actually preserve the country that we have, we need to literally completely eradicate white supremacy. As an ideology, it is so dangerous, so harmful, and that is where so many hate crimes stem from. The craziest thing is even realizing how many mass shootings and other mass acts of violence stem from white supremacy and hatred. That's why it irritates me how many politicians on the right, and honestly liberal politicians, are like, we need to be tough on crime, we need to be tough on crime. This is an ideology issue. This is an education issue, and it's the result of a system that allows white people to act however they want without consequence. And we need to start treating white supremacy like the real fucking threat that it is.
White supremacy and racism rely on black sympathy. Think about it, they brutalize us, criminalize us, talk down on us. And then the second that something happens to them, we are expected to be the bigger person, to have compassion, to forgive, to pray, right? But tell me where in the fuck that same sympathy is when a black man is unalive and then called a thug, and in the media talked about his past transgressions in an effort to dehumanize him or her. When we protest, they call us violent. When we grieving, they tell us to get the fuck over it. But let one of their champions, quote unquote, fall, somehow we're the heartless ones because we're not crying and grieving with them. That's not empathy, that's manipulation. And that is how white supremacy survives, by demanding our humanity while denying theirs to us. So no, we do not owe sympathy or empathy to anybody whose platform was completely based on the oppression of us. Black compassion should not be the fuel that keeps white supremacy alive. And we need to stop expecting black pain to come with black sympathy.
Something people never think about is how white supremacy doesn't revolve around white people. It revolves around black people. Let me ask you something. What's something a white supremacist would likely do? Donate money to the poor, work at a food kitchen, support, policies that would help white people, or be racist online, counter protest when every time, a black person is unjustly murdered and they go out and mock black people and make things worse for everybody. It's the one I just said. Like, a principled white supremacist would be for Medicare for all and free college, because that would mean more healthy white people and more educated white people. But because white supremacy revolves around black people, they don't want Medicare for all. They don't want free college because they want black people to be, put down, subjugated. And it doesn't matter how many white people are hurt. As long as a black person is hurt by their decisions, that's all that matters. It's why I personally view white supremacy as almost as some sort of brain disease, a mental disorder, because it's lunacy. It defies the average moral compass of a human being. People want good things to happen in their lives. People will work towards those good things so, they can be happy. But a white supremacist will actively push for bad things to happen, even at their own expense, just for the possibility to put a black person down. You can't reason with a person like that, because to me, like, they're sick in the mind. It's like, it's worse than any, like, mental disorder in the DSM-5 or whatever, schizophrenia or, multiple personalities. I would rather interact with someone like that than a white supremacist, duh.
Our silence is so disorienting for them. They want us to be mad and scared so bad. And y'all just refuse to give that to them. So here we are with made up stories about mobs of youth taking over the streets of DC with threats to occupy other predominantly black cities. But we predicted this. We saw this coming. We've said that we saw this coming. And so to make this announcement and to do all of this extra just feels a little bit embarrassing on their part. Like, y'all been running the same playbook for 400 years. We saw you coming, guys. We heard you. White supremacy is literally a joke. They know it, we know it, and they know that we know it. They will do anything to hold on to whiteness, because without it, they are nothing and would have to admit that there is absolutely nothing supreme about them, and that other cultures have run circles around them, even with 400 years of a head start and stolen labor. White supremacy, Trump and MAGA are literally the death rattle of white supremacy, and they are fighting tooth and nail to stay relevant.
This video is going to trigger a lot of white people, but I don't care. I think that white people actually suffer from inferiority complex. And so the reason why they have always been trying to prove themselves as superior, controlling, colonize, steal from cultures, accaparate, appropriate other cultures is because, first of all, they've been unable to keep their own cultures. They've destroyed, they've ruined their own practices, their own spirituality, their own forms of wisdom. And so they try to steal that from other cultures and other people because they just were unable to accept that their culture was devoid of actual wisdom. Their barbarity and cruelty destroyed their own essence and souls. And so they try to reclaim that by coming into other cultures and trying to steal that from other cultures and trying to instaure this sort of supremacy and white excellence in order to dominate the narrative. But in reality, they are the ones that at the core are just so small and materialistic and devoid of culture and barbaric in their way, in their self-expression, and in the way that they connect with life, with Mother Nature, with other cultures and other people. They destroy their own souls and they have nothing to connect to, nothing divine, nothing magical, nothing whimsical, nothing spiritual to connect to. And so they try to push this narrative of materialism, of atheism, of capitalism, all of that in order to secure themselves in their emptiness, in their nothingness. And they try to force that onto other cultures. And when it didn't work, well, they just started stealing the knowledge of other cultures, the other spiritual forms of other cultures, the magic, and created some new age BS in order to reclaim something, to feel something, but it's just not real, and it's not a real essence. They just are devoid of that because of their inferiority complex.
Watching those clips, it's clear, right? White supremacy isn't as untouchable as it used to be. The masks are off and the system is being exposed from the inside out. People are no longer afraid to speak truth to power, right? And that is a threat to anyone who builds their comfort on silence. I mean, you can feel the shift. The world is changing, consciousness is rising. For centuries, control was the weapon, but now information is, right? And that is why conversations like this matter, because when people understand how deep it runs, they stop feeding it, right? The downfall of white supremacy isn't just about protest, it's about awareness. But thank you so much for watching and reflecting with me. Don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe for more honest commentary. And remember, the truth always outlasts the lie. As usual, I'll see you on my next one.